Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching from, YouTubers. Saturday morning, and after my little upload of the Raven biker meet on Thursday, one of the watchers put a comment on there saying basically how dare I take the piss out of the Harley Davidsons. And I have to say I have been known to do that over the years. Not really because I don't like the look of them, I think they look magnificent, but I like twisty bends and that kind of thing, and by and large most of them don't go around bends particularly well because primarily they're designed for the highways of America. So anyway, all joking aside, I have to say that I have bitten on the bait that Paul put out there, and I am going to Harley Davidson in Manchester to have a ride of a Harley, which is not something I ever thought I would hear myself say. But anyway, Paul goaded me and said I need to try a Sport Glide, so I had to look it up. Yes, it looks fairly cool. Again, not immediately my cup of tea, but I rang up Ducati Manchester, and I have to say, not Ducati Manchester, sorry, Harley Davidson Manchester, and I have to say, the friendliest people on the phone in the world. So I spoke to Jack, he put me on to John, and he said, well, we haven't got a Sport Glide available to ride as a demo at the moment. They are not prepped, but you are very welcome to come down and have a ride of an ST. So I have no idea what an ST is. I have no expectations, but that is where I am going. I am going to Harley Davidson Manchester to ride a Harley Davidson ST, which they assure me is similar in terms of style, performance and position as a Sport Glide that Paul goaded me to ride. We are off the motorway. We are in Stretford, heading about another mile and a bit to go to Harley Davidson Manchester. I'm actually getting quite excited now. Don't know why, it's a bit daft, a bit like a child at Christmas where you don't quite know what you're going to get. So there's a bit of anticipation there about riding my first Harley Davidson. Yeah, I've got to say I am also a little bit, I'm grinning a little bit because I realise that I'm a massive hypocrite as well. So yeah, it's a good feeling to go and try something new. That's all I can say. That's the way to ride. A pair of sliders, love it. See, that is quite a nice looking thing. Well, there's certainly an awful lot of shiny bikes. So here we are, home of the Mancunian chapter. So, prejudices aside, these are the sort that I really like the look of, but I know are not for me. It's just not the kind of riding style that I think I would like. However, these ones with the little stripes on them, I love the look of them. Don't like the little leather saddlebags on the side, but I love the colours on them. Those, yes please. I don't know what model that is. I have no idea. I'm ready to be educated. But let me just have a look. It'll probably be on the ticket there, will it? Sportster, 1200 iron. Yeah, I just like the stripes on those. They're very sort of 70s, 80s retro. Very nice. That is absolutely enormous. So, here with Gareth at the Harley Davidson Manchester, and he's going to talk me through the ST. Gareth, take me through it.
So, they've actually recently updated them for this year. There's a couple of little differences. The previous one is still a fantastic bike. It's absolutely brilliant, and that's the one I'm actually getting. But this one now has the high output 117.
Right.
So it has switchable ride modes. So before it was just obviously normal. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's power everywhere you want it to be.
Yep.
But with these now, with the switchable ride modes, you've got rain mode, you've got your normal road mode, and then you've got your sport mode.
They don't go in the rain. Come on, Gareth.
Oh, this one, honestly, it's so nice. Once you pull that torque down, you will be able to ride it nice and gentle. The only reason people are scared of them in the rain is because they have that much torque. You will turn that tyre very, very easily.
Fair
so
play.
as long as you keep this in the right place, you will be all right. But the good thing about these is they come with the mid controls. So rather than sort of if you look at obviously the more sort of traditional Harleys with the forward pegs, which are more for like the cruising, these have the mid controls, and because they're higher up, you can chuck these round bends. And you've got the added bonus of this you've got a really nice fairing, which even for me at 6'1" is perfect.
Right.
I don't get any buffeting or anything like that, but it's still with the vents, lets enough air through. And these bags are fantastic as well. Bit of a different from the normal Harleys with the top opening because they're the clamshell.
Yep.
But when I was saying to you about my gold wing before, so my gold wing bagger looks like it has massive panniers, are nowhere actual nearly as big as these. These are more, have got more usable space in.
Jury's out. We're gonna. This is what we're gonna work out. This is what we're gonna work out, Gareth.
You need to have a go at them.
I do need to have a go because I have taken the piss long enough.
You can get the Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator 2 Fat Boy.
Well, they just look great, don't they?
I know, that's the thing, you can't, you know.
I'm not strong enough to hold one.
Do you know what it'd surprise you?
Because it's low.
No, do you know what it'd really surprise you? You know, there's a little trick for getting them off the stand. This is the heaviest one, without a doubt. And I'll just show you, there's a little trick. So say you come to your bike.
Yep.
Yeah. To be fair, a lot of people don't want to scratch the panniers, anything like that. A lot of people do that instead.
Yep.
It makes it easier to get on and off, and it does, it's fun. When you're lifting that, if you're just trying to lift it, normally, it is a damn heavy bike, right? Before you do that, put your bars round to that side, like this, and you literally, I don't even have to hardly hold the bars, I can do that with my leg.
Gareth's top tips. There you are, right there. YouTube short right there, in there.
But you literally, you make the bike do half the work for you. As soon as you do that, pivots off the front wheel, and you can literally do that.
We are now looking at the Rev Max because I've just been taking the piss out of the fact that these big V-twins, the traditional ones, are very, very big and very, very heavy. So Gareth's now going to talk me through the Rev Max.
So, just to give you a complete opposite end of the scale, instead of the big twins, these are the proper, thoroughly modern Harleys that have come out over the last few years. So you've got the 1250, which is 150 brake horsepower in the Pan America. You've got the 1250 at 125 brake horsepower in the Sportster S. And then you have the Nightster, which is a 975, which is a fantastic little bike, to be honest. Mid controls, sports mode in it, you can chuck that everywhere. It is a hilarious little bike to
What's
ride.
the orange one?
That's the Nightster.
Right.
Yeah, that's the Nightster.
That one gives me the 1970s horn. I like the colour of it.
It's cool, isn't it?
It's very cool.
Really, really cool.
It's very cool. I don't think it's me, but I love the colour palette. The colour palette of it is tremendous, and all of them with the stripes. I was just saying that.
In all honesty, I thought I wasn't going to like them. I thought I was going to like the 1250. I actually prefer the 975.
So that was the 1250.
For my size, I think for taller riders, the Sportster S can be a little bit sort of cramped. It's a fantastic bike to ride, but for chucking round little tight bends and things like that, that is a brilliant little bike. But if you want something that will embarrass sports bikes, and I am not even lying, and coming from your riding experience, the Pan Americas, I can't say enough about these things.
Right, so that means we're going to have a ride of one of these in, so I can get a proper comparison to what I'm used to.
Well, here's the little bit of a rub with this. If you want to go adventure touring, chuck all your bags on it, nice and comfortable, pillion even, all this sort of thing. The Pan America, especially the special where you get the bars, the steering dampener, and these as well, the ones that we've got at the minute have the adaptive suspension.
Right.
So it actually changes as you come to a stop at a set of lights, it lowers it for you. And then you can change it as you go through the modes. It makes it stiffer or lighter depending on what mode you're in as well. Off-road modes if you want them as well, and with the lace wheels, look, hard as nails, they're brilliant, and they even have the cornering lights as well, just above the main light.
So this is basically the direct comparison to a Multistrada.
It is,
more or less.
Essentially, it's in there with the GS, funnily enough, which is over there. The GS, the Multistrada, the Triumph, the Tiger, is it?
The Explorer.
Explorer, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is direct comparison, and easily keeps up with them power-wise with the 150 brake, and because it's the V-twin, a load of torque everywhere. This, however, is the Pan America ST.
Pan America
and
ST.
This is a hooligan. I am not even joking. It is lowered suspension. These don't come with the adaptive suspension because it is set up for fast road riding. It has the lowered seat, the smaller wheel instead of the big off-road wheel.
Right, 17 inch,
Yeah,
I'm guessing,
has a smaller front wheel, and
Got you. So these are 19 or 21s, are they?
19s.
19s, yeah.
Yeah. That thing turns in quicker than pretty much anything I have ever had to go of.
It does look like it. It's a shorter wheelbase, isn't it? That's the reason why.
Yeah.
Right then, so first ride on a Harley Davidson ever, and I'm on the ST. It's a big old thing. First impressions, I can definitely feel that it's a heavy bike, but the weight is quite low down, so it doesn't feel particularly like there's a lot of weight on my legs when I'm holding it up, which is good. Certainly feels more stable than the Multistrada, I have to say, because the Multistrada in its own right is all the weight's high up. So, and away we go. Right, let's get used to the riding position then. Oh, core blimey, this is an unusual riding position. Well, there is certainly bags of grunt, I'll give it that. I can feel that straight away. Loads of torque. It's smooth. I'll give it that. It is smooth. It is thumping a bit in terms of the sound, but it is very smooth. There is very little vibration coming up through the bike at all. So not like the KTM 1190 with that V-twin. It's a smaller engine, but bloody hell, that does vibrate a bit. And it sounds noisy when you start it up, but that was obviously on choke, because it doesn't sound noisy now, particularly. Certainly doesn't sound noisy as a rider and sitting on it. And it's now probably about 11 o'clock or something like that, 11:15, and I've got until 1, so the guys are allowing me to go out for 2 hours. Gareth, as you can tell, very knowledgeable about what he's selling, and John came out, processed all the paperwork. I've got to say, probably the nicest sales team of any dealership I've ever been to. So if anybody wants a benchmark, go to Harley Davidson Manchester. Smashing guys, absolutely lovely, very, very polite, very knowledgeable and helpful. So I was literally in there probably less than 5 minutes talking to John, and he had me up and away, took my details, credit card payment, and away. So first things first, and it's actually nice on my lower back because my knees are really high. I've got to say, my knees are really high, and it's a bit like assuming the fetal position when I had my prostate exam, and that is taking the weight off my lower spine, which is, we'll find out in an hour, but it actually feels okay. My hands are noticeably higher than on the other bikes that I ride, so I'm not too sure whether I'm going to feel that later. My arms are very wide, which, as you will probably know, I don't like. Hence, I modified the Ducati and put LSL narrower bars on and shorten the bars down by 2 inches a side on the Multistrada, which makes it a lot more comfortable for me. Just pulled in at a petrol station, tipped the bike over. Bloody hell, it leans a long way over onto the side stand. But while I'm sitting there adjusting myself and taking the fuel cap off, I thought, bloody hell, my leg's hot, and it is absolutely scorching on the exhaust. So that's first negative. The exhaust bloody hot, even with the heat shield on it. But the pros, bloody hell, for a very, very heavy bike, how easy is it to manoeuvre? It's incredibly manoeuvrable. A lot more manoeuvrable than I thought. So there's obviously, the geometry is obviously designed for slower speeds anyway, but oh my god, that's a revelation. Given the size of the fairing on the front of this bike, I thought there might be a little bit more wind protection, but obviously there's no high screen, so I'm not really that protected that well. And I've got to say, today it's probably about 28 degrees centigrade, and there are a number of holes in the front of the fairing that are giving me a lovely air blast coming through. That is really nice. My first comment about it being very smooth, I'm starting to realise that is, when it's literally ticking over, incredibly smooth. I can feel there's a bit of vibration now from the engine. It is, it's not uncomfortable, but it's a very, very spongy seat. So the seat is doing a lot of work now, that's for sure. Been on it no more than 5 minutes, I don't think now, and my initial impressions are that it's not a riding position that is particularly comfortable for me as an individual. My knees are a bit high. and I'm a bit too stretched forward and hands up high, so it's not as comfortable a riding position as the other bikes that I ride. That said, it's putting me in a position where there's almost no stress on my lumbar spine, and that is really comfortable. So my lumbar spine is super comfy because I've got a little bit of an arch in it, but the rest of me is not quite as comfortable, so that's a bit of an oxymoron. You win some and you lose some, but I am really starting to feel the vibration in the handlebars now. I can feel the tingling in my hands. So how long have I been on? 15 minutes perhaps? And that vibration is, yes, I'm noticing that now, when I didn't notice it when I first got on it. So next point of note, just driving down this dual carriageway 50 miles an hour, and some of the cars are parked up at a traffic light in front of me, and I went to pull the brake on, and compared to all my other bikes there are no brakes on this. Maybe I just need to pull on an awful lot harder, but it's the first time where I have become aware that there is a lot of bike here, and by comparison to my Multistrada, my 1190 Adventure and my MV Augusta, this thing has no brakes. Yes, let's see what it'll do away from the lights. We're just waiting for a change. As we can see, this Mini is going to give it some beans, I think. Just because I've sneaked up the middle, really. Cars don't like that, even though it's perfectly legal in the UK. Well, she certainly moves. It's a very different style of delivery compared to the other types of bikes that I am used to riding, and the others are there's a lot more grunt in them, a lot more urgency about the way they deliver. This is a lot more casual, but well, looking at how far these cars are behind me, it's still doing the trick and proving that motorbikes are a lot quicker accelerating than cars. Oh, here we are pulling up. Yeah, the brakes are abysmal. I don't know whether they're genuinely poor or whether it's just because it's trying to pull a lot of weight up, but yeah, the brakes on all my other bikes would make mincemeat of this. So there's a lesson in there: adapt your riding style, prepare earlier to brake, and don't leave it quite so late. It actually does seem to go quite nicely around bends, I'll give it that, but I haven't been spiritedly riding, that's for sure. But road holding is good enough for what it is, for sure. It feels very planted. I certainly wouldn't be riding it as fast around bends as my other bikes. They are certainly more compliant and feel like they're more designed for cornering and absorbing bumps and whatnot around the bends themselves. This is definitely a bike designed for straight lines and long sweeping bends. I really like the way this handles in the slow speeds, because the weight is so low. It's very, very compliant, slow speed, really compliant. That's really surprised me. I thought being 300 and something kilograms, it was going to be hard work. Here we are in Disley in Cheshire, which is a beautiful little town south of Manchester. Clearly moneyed back in the day, and thankfully it's still got a lot of its character. It's a beautiful little place. Look at that, the Dandy Cock. I'm sure I'll find Bondi in there, with him being one of the biggest cocks I know. Right, sat in a little bit of traffic there, and I can absolutely feel the heat off the engine. I thought it was bad off the Multistrada, but it's very, very hot off the Harley. So a couple of other things now to report. So the vibration on the handlebars. If this bike was mine, I would have to get maybe 2 bits of billet tungsten and put half a kilogram of tungsten counterweights in the end of each handlebar inside a piece of rubber, because the vibration is quite significant in the handlebars. You know, it's to be expected, I guess, with such a big V-twin. But my KTM has that kind of sensation, but I've never ever felt my hands are getting a tingling feeling off them before. So yeah, that's one thing which is for a definite. There's a lot of vibration through the handlebars, and chucking a big dampening piece of weight would be quite useful, I think. That would certainly make the riding sensation in your hands a lot more comfortable in the longer distances. Another thing that is now becoming apparent is that the riding position with my arms quite high up rather than being down and reaching for the handlebars is giving me a tightness in the top of my back that I used to experience on the Multistrada when I first got it, and I've eliminated it by putting much narrower bars on. So clearly, for somebody of my build and my I guess my muscle memory and stuff like that, one thing which is much more useful for me is having narrower handlebars. So the very wide handlebars are not suited to me and my style of riding, that is for sure. So I'm starting to get a bit of pain in my upper back. Honestly, my lumbar spine has never been better. That is really, really unbelievable. I did think that my knees being higher up was going to be a bit of a pain, and it was going to be something that wasn't particularly comfortable after a while. But let me tell you, it's not uncomfortable, but it's not comfortable. But my lumbar spine is so relaxed now. So yeah, assuming the fetal position like this is actually really good for lumbar spine. Who would have thought? Wow, listen to that. It really has got a roar, but I am massively conscious now that if I give it some welly, I've got no fucking brakes to stop. So you can't really give it the massive heave-ho and then anchor on for the bends, because this bike literally, I may as well have brake blocks on it with centre pull brakes from an old style mountain bike on it. They are dross, utter dross. Where am I going here? Oh, definitely not going. I'm not going anywhere by the looks of things, because these are no, definitely not going anywhere down there, because none of those are made road surfaces that we can go on. Well, I suppose I could go on them, but I don't think Harley would be particularly impressed if I did that. Oh my god, right now I'm realising that also the turning circle on this thing is like a ship. But what a view, look at that folks. That is a tremendous view. Wow, isn't the UK absolutely beautiful? So, next little point of note there then, turning circle of a small oil tanker. Unbelievably, there's nowhere near as much engine braking as I was expecting. I thought there would be a lot more for such a big bike, but there's not a lot. I don't think you can stall this. I'm pulling away with no throttle whatsoever and then opening it up, and wow, it's incredibly smooth pulling away and just oodles and oodles of torque. So yeah, that's a revelation. That's again another point to note in terms of adapting your riding style between different bikes. And as you know, in recent nights I've been commenting on that, the difference between the MV Augusta and the Multistrada. Look at the countryside round here, absolutely beautiful. So reduce speed now. Yeah, I think that's wise. Get on the brakes about 6 years before. You know, on this kind of sweeping road, give it its dues, it's actually quite comfortable. But then, right, this is where this bike's not particularly comfortable, because the roads in the UK, they're a little bit bumpy, these little country lanes, and this is quite a long bike, so it's a bit wallowy. It is quite wallowy. It's not bad around the bends. It does feel planted enough. Doesn't sort of inspire you with any kind of desire to go absolutely herring through it and really pushing it like my other bikes. But it goes all right. Here's the thing. It's a bike that falls over quickly, but doesn't turn quickly. Now, I don't know how the two of those things can be compatible, but that is a fact of the way it rides. It does actually lean over really quickly because it's got the weight load down, but it actually doesn't turn round a bend quickly, and that's to do with its length. Christ almighty, pick a fucking lane, you prick, and stay on that side. Yeah, Yeah, I mean, I'm not going particularly slow around, I'm doing 50 round here, and it's enough for this bike. But oh my God, the view. Look at that, God's country. That is for sure. Look at that. And there's Manchester in the distance, so I've got to go back over there now. Yeah, then the Harley Davidson ST. It's a pretty looking thing, I will give it that. I like the look of it. I'm not so keen on the bulge at the front with the lights in it, but to each their own. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, as they say. Yeah, it's not bad at all. Not bad at all. Downhill and a 16% gradient, which should test these brakes out now. God help them. No, there really isn't a lot of engine braking on this. A lot less than I thought there would be. A lot less than I thought there would be. I think I would like the speedo to be a little bit clearer. The numbers are quite close, and with it being quite a wide needle, you could be pretty much covering 5 miles an hour with where the needle is. So probably a digital speedometer would be better, and a rev counter would be useful. Maybe a rev counter instead of the speedo, and then just a digital speedo. I think that would be my preference. Wow, okay. Now I just found the limit of the bike. Flicking it between bends like that, and then having to pull up hard for cars that are going behind a push bike. That is where you find the limit of a bike like this, because you can't flick it quickly between switchbacks. It really not very good at that. This is where I said it's easy for the bike to fall over, but it doesn't actually turn quickly. Yeah, I can get it over, but I can't get it to go around a bend quickly. It's very, very heavy in that respect. And then when you're coming to brake, I'm not a small chap, but I need to pull on that breaker very, very hard to get it to do any kind of braking. And since that is the type of riding I enjoy, that's where, I guess, for me and my online conversation with Paul, is that for me that this kind of bike doesn't suit my style of riding, or the kind of riding that I enjoy anyway. So thank you very much, Paul, for basically giving me the poke. He poked the bear, didn't he? He poked the bear and made me do it. So I'm very grateful for that, Paul. Thank you very much. You pushed me into my first Harley Davidson ride. There are some points of this where it's a revelation, and there are some bits where it's absolutely not for me. If I'm looking at the priorities of the goods and bads and how they are weighted, then this bike certainly isn't the type of bike that is going to be the bike that, if I had all three of them sitting in the garage, it's the last one that's coming out of the garage to be ridden. It would be it'd be racking up 0 miles per year if I had it, because it's just not as engaging to ride as the others. Now, if I was literally just going to go and ride to Scotland and it was just motorwaying, I think I have to concede that this is probably exactly what it's designed for. Exactly what this Harley Davidson is designed for. If you were just sitting on the motorway, I think this would be absolutely the right tool for it. Although the single caveat would be a kilogram of tungsten, half a kilogram in each end of the handlebar, just to absorb some of the vibration, because that would be irritating if you were riding for 200 miles up the motorway. You'd end up having vibration white finger at the end for sure. I have ridden this type of bike now, and therefore I can have an opinion on it that is objective. I do think now that, having a look at some of the others, I possibly do need to try that. I think it had a 1250 on it. I'm not too sure. I wasn't paying that much attention to Gareth when he was talking model numbers, but the one that has 150 horsepower and is a bit more like the bikes that I'm familiar with and get pleasure out of. So I might have to go back and actually try one of those on another occasion. Well, folks, here we are back on the M60 now, making our way round Manchester to Stretford on the Harley XT. I've had it on the road for well over an hour, I think now. Actually, I've enjoyed my Harley experience, that is for sure. My first Harley experience. It's cemented the fact that it's not the bike for me. It's not the style that fits me well comfort-wise, more than anything, I think. More than anything, I'm reaching forward too much. My legs are a bit too high. It's my lumbar spine though it's really relaxed. I'll give you that. That it really does stretch your spine out at the bottom, which is really nice actually. A lot of vibration in the handlebars that really wouldn't do me on a long journey. Wouldn't suit me at all. The gear shifter would need an adjustment for me and my feet and whatnot. It's a little bit high at the moment, just needs adjusting a little bit. That's easy done. When you're on the motorway, it's very comfortable, very easy. When you're on the little bends, it's okay on the slower stuff. The moment you get little flicks from left to right, this bike's not going to do it. It's going to lean over left and right quite quickly, but it's not going to turn around the bend quickly. It's very heavy and unresponsive in that way, and the brakes are absolutely awful. The only thing I can liken them to is my dad's BSA B31, and those were drum brakes. Yeah, awful is being kind, but as a cruiser, which is, to be fair, what this bike is designed for, it's alright. Just getting on the motorway and just going. I like the fairing with the holes in it. It's giving me a lot of wind blast, which is very nice. It is very smooth, just cruising. I'm doing 70 miles an hour, 65 miles an hour now. It is very smooth, but the handlebars would give me white finger after a while, so it does need some dampening in there. But this is what it's designed for. This is its sweet spot, for sure. So it's been a very interesting experiment. So Paul, thank you very much indeed for the prod. I very much appreciate it. I suspect that I'm going to go back to Harley Davidson now and actually have a try of one or two other Harleys. Not probably with the intention of buying, but just to really see what the crack's all about. And one little blast away here now before we get to Harley Manchester, and then we'll take this bike back and go and have a chat with the guys. But I have thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been good experience, and yeah, get back on the Multistrada onto a bike that is more suited to the type of riding that I do. And here we are, back at Harley Davidson Manchester.